Welcome to another episode of Licensed RPGs, where we take a look at RPGs that are based off of other people's works, such as anime, comics, cartoons, books, manga, and movies. For today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which was released back in the later part of May in 2004 for the Game Boy Advance. This title also represents the last entry in a series of RPGs on Nintendo handhelds that were talked about in the previous episodes. Albeit this game seems to make some slight changes to the formula, but ends up suffering from many of the same flaws. But I guess we should start with the plot and work our way down. Plot-wise, the game covers the events of the third entry into the Harry Potter series of novels. So the game is shorter than the previous two games and further condenses down time and events, which can make a purist of the series squirm, and even someone willing to accept changes in the name of adapting it to a video game a bit uncomfortable as well. Among the most notable changes that game fuses Harry getting his firebolt, having it confiscated, receiving lessons from Professor Lupin, and getting the broom back as if they all happened on the same day, instead of being spread apart over a matter of weeks. And this overall fusion of sections of the book leads to certain plot points being skipped out on, like the Marauder's Map, or Harry's visit to the only magical village in Britain, or even Sybil's second confirmed prophecy. In short, I advise you to read the book before playing this game, or else you'll probably feel lost, since it leaves out a ton of material under the assumption that you already know it. Gameplay-wise, the title still remains as a turn-based RPG, which may be a plus or minus depending on your perspective about that kind of combat system. On a more somber note, the game does largely make strides forward in terms of gameplay, but makes a few steps backwards as well, such as reducing the number of enemies in the game, reducing the total number of spells, and reducing the number of card combos for Harry's special attacks. Okay, those small changes for the worse can easily be overlooked by the improved menu, the removal of the randomly appearing clouds for entering combat with white orbs that will stay on screen, the addition of simple puzzles, character-specific spells, the reduction of intrusive minigames, and having minigames that are better fit to the actual narrative, listing our characters in combat, and allowing the white orbs to turn to actual monsters if you have identified all the enemies in the party. There are a few more positives to list, but I think you get the general gist of the fact that this game largely stays true to the previous two games, but improves upon them in almost every way. But the only downside that I can't overlook is the random nature of the bosses in this game. While a few of the bosses are rather fitting, the final boss is a major blot in this title, since it is none other than the Blonde Ponce, the Bouncing White Ferret, the Princess of Slytherin, Draco Malfoy, the character that should have been given a reducto between the eyes if J.K. Rowling had any sense. Generally speaking, the game is largely improved, but a few of the character portraits feel a bit too realistic in comparison to others in my opinion. It's a subtle shift in some cases, but it's hard for me to overlook. It should also be noted that some of the cutscenes in this game aren't delivered using the in-game graphic engine and text boxes, but with images that appear to be hand-drawn, along with a few that use a limited amount of animations, such as Sirius Black escaping into the night while riding Buckbeak. On the sound side of things, the game is rather good, even if it has a rather limited soundtrack to draw upon. The game's overall length is rather short, so it is easier to overlook the limited number of musical scores. On the downside, the game can shift rather charmingly between tracks at times, and I'd be remiss not to mention how bad some of the sound effects in the game are. They just stand out like a sore thumb, especially the cat sound effects, which go off repeatedly throughout the game. In conclusion, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is a solid RPG if you're looking for something on the easier side of things, and can be completed in 8 to 10 hours, and that is if you include the time to grind. Which might make this title more of a rent, but being an old GBA game, you'll probably have to purchase a used copy or borrow it from a friend if they actually own a copy and haven't misplaced it by now. All in all, this game is definitely worth a play if you're a fan of the Harry Potter series, but don't expect it to be very accurate to the book.